So I know, Gina, you were reading under some direction from me a lot of articles and books around autobiographical and autoethnographic studies. And that was not a fun time.
No, that was not a fun time. Because for me, particularly the scholarship on autoethnography was not particularly accessible, and I could not connect to it. And for me, I didn't see it as inviting me to, or creating possibility for me to write about what it is that I wanted to write about and attend to what it is that I want to attend to. And autobiography, I think, was closer, but I think one of the things that was hard for me was investing so much time and doing, reading and highlighting and ruminating about so many articles on autoethnography to actually set that whole package aside and recognize that I had to pick up another piece of scholarship. I had to pick up another possibility because it wasn't allowing me again to achieve what I'd hoped to. So I think for me, and what I would say to others who are considering this is to follow absolutely follow the advisement of your supervisor, but also I hope that you have the relationship that I have been very fortunate to have, and that you have the courage to talk back to your supervisor in terms of how it is that they're envisioning that they can support you to bring this research to the page, but also it needs to connect to you and what counts for you and what it is that you want to contribute to the scholarship. So for me, autoethnography and the narrative were just less invigorating, less inspiring, and didn't create the kind of possibility that I wanted to create. And also I just want to make a mention that I think, again, the scholarship, vetted by the Academy is very important, but other people have things to say that may in fact be meaningful to you and have influenced you and be reflected in what it is that you are writing about as an educator. And that's true for me. So there's some popular literature, for lack of a better term, that's also shows up in my dissertation, and I want it to stay there.
Well, you found life writing.
Yes.
As at least the story about life writing was something that sang to you, where the others it was like a cacophony of it was noise that you couldn't absolutely connect with. So, but the life writing, which is, there's similarities across these autobiographical, autoethnographic, and life writing. They're all about telling your story.
Yeah.
And the life writing comes out of, I think, it's influenced by approaches beyond the Academy that are really inviting people and encouraging people to write about their lives. So when you're bringing that into, say, a dissertation, which is fundamentally, certainly in the Faculty of Education, it's going to be about education broadly conceived, not just about formal education or formal roles. So the life writing literature, which people like Annie Lamott and Natalie Goldberg and
Julia
Cameron and others that was a language that you could have a conversation with that language.
Yeah. And the book that Carl Lego edited, The Heart of Empathetic Inquiry.
Yes.
An excellent book to read, because it is about those of us that are engaged in education in various ways, but it also, in that book, will actually show you about the different ways that you can begin to record ideas and share ideas. So there's Carl, I think, wrote a 5-page long poem. There's short stories. There's more autobiographical pieces and passages. So it just right there talking about the methodology itself is an example of the methodology.
Yeah, yeah. That sort of double sort of value there, where that's the reason I chose one of the suggested readings I have is the chapter out of the second edition of Handbook of Qualified Inquiry by Alison Bachner, because it's actually written as a story.
Yeah.
And they cover a huge amount of the territory.
Yes.
About this methodology.
Yeah. Yes, that's actually is a very good chapter, in a very, very big book.
Yes, heavy book. Hard to read at night.
But it is good, because you're right. It does actually do a great job of helping to represent the methodology and it's talking about the methodology.
Yeah.
Yeah.